Hello dear students, today I'll try to give you a brief orientation about how to write your research project for MSW. Hope you find it helpful. So first of all, some of the important things to know when you are writing your research project. So first thing, you should know how the overall outline of the research project. Second thing, what are the steps in conducting this research. Third, selection of the topic. Fourth, how to write the introduction chapter, how to write the review of literature chapter, the chapter on research methodology, the chapter on data analysis, then the chapter on your summary of the research, then how to write bibliography and the appendices. So first of all, let us try to understand how your research will look like once it is done. So on your completion, the research project will first it will have your the face sheet, the title, then title and other like the logo of the college, your name and other details. Then the second thing that follows in your research project will be the certificates, the table of contents and the list of tables and graphs. Then come the chapters, beginning with the first chapter on introduction. Then you can also include another chapter separately for a company profile. If your research project is on HRM, and if your research project is on some medical and psychiatric social work topic, then you can include a profile of the hospital to which you are attached. Or if you are doing some topic on community development, then you can include some of the major policies or schemes on which your research project is based on this chapter. So next is so this chapter you can keep it separately, or you can make it as part of chapter first as chapter 1A, so that doesn't make much difference. Then chapter second chapter is review of literature. In this you have to review the various books, articles, journals, the various literature which is being published on your topic, and I have to briefly write a review of whatever you have gone through. Then third is research methodology. Fourth, data analysis. Fifth, major findings, suggestions and conclusion. Then you have to write the bibliography and the appendices. The appendices include your tool for data collection and the letter of consent. So this is the overall outline of your research project. So next, let us try to understand the steps in conducting the research. So the first step is of course selection of the topic. Then second step is writing a brief synopsis of your research topic. The third step is preparation of the tool. The fourth step is data collection, writing the introduction, writing the review of literature and the bibliography. Fifth is writing the research methodology, the chapter on research methodology. Sixth is encoding of the research tool and tabulation of the data. Seventh is data analysis. Eighth is summarizing your research. That is writing the chapter on the major findings, suggestions and the conclusion. And ninth step is writing the certificates, the table of contents, list of tables, graphs and the appendices. Now here of course I have included data collection and writing the introduction chapter and review of literature simultaneous in the fourth step, because data collection is slightly difficult to handle. It is dependent on so many factors, but you can interchange. If you want to write the introduction first, that is also fine. So the first step is selection of the topic. So things to remember here, that the topic should be easy to understand, the topic should have enough literature available, the topic should have enough respondents for data collection, and the topic should be feasible. So please select a very easy topic. Don't go for a very difficult topics which you don't understand. So whenever you select any topic, be sure that you understand the topic. Because I have seen many times the students come to me with a topic, and when I ask them to explain what the topic means, they are unable to explain it. So please, so we are not forcing you to take any particular topic, but when you have the liberty to select a topic which you can follow, which you actually understand, or you read some books and try to understand the topic. And if you feel that yes, this is this is a topic which I can understand, then select it. If you feel that this topic is really difficult to understand, that you cannot really follow what the topic is trying to study, then please don't select that topic. So this is not to discourage you from taking any topic, but just to make the research project as smooth as possible. Then the second thing that you should see is that the research topic should have enough literature available. That is, when you go for a literature review, or when you want to write a chapter on introduction, you should have enough reference materials. So you should have enough books to refer to. You should have enough articles to refer to. So if you don't have enough articles or enough books to refer then it becomes difficult to write the chapter on literature review and also the introduction chapter. So try to select a topic which you have easy access for the literature. Then third is the data collection. So also make sure that you have easy access to the respondents. So one thing is that when you select a topic, don't make it too huge. So don't say a study on Karnataka, a study on the respondents in Karnataka, or study on the respondents in the whole of nation. So you have to make it very small. You have to zoom in. The study should be on a small village. If your geographical area should be restricted to a village or to a school, if it is an educational institution, a school. Suppose it is a study on slow learners, then you can restrict it to one school or two schools or three schools. Don't go to such an extent that the data collection itself becomes a very difficult task for you. So make sure that whenever you select any topic, the respondents are easily available. So the topic should be modified such that the geographical location of your research should be limited. So zoom in, don't make it very broad. That is one thing. And whatever topic you have chosen, for that the respondent should be available. So whenever you choose any topic, make sure that for that particular topic the respondents are actually available there. Only then it will be easy for you. Otherwise data collection itself becomes a very difficult task. So please take care of this. Then of course the topic should be feasible in all these aspects. So please select a topic which is as easy to study as possible, because the intention here is not to select a difficult topic, but the intention of the entire research project is to make you understand the methodology of the research project. So how to conduct a research project. The intention is not to take a very difficult topic and engage in a research project which is very difficult. So please try to keep it as easy and as simple as possible. So the second step is writing a brief synopsis of a research topic. So synopsis is like a small summary of your entire research project. So you can give a brief introduction in this synopsis. Brief introduction of your topic can include the meaning of the various words included in the topic, the definitions, and what you understand by the topic. A brief review of the literature. So read at least some 8 to 10 articles or 8 to 10 books, and write for each book that you read, write at least 8 to 10 lines of what you understood from that book or from that article. That becomes your review of the literature. And when you write the review of the literature, make sure to write the citations, the in-text citations and the bibliography or the references to be given at the end. So we will deal with this in detail when I talk about bibliography. Okay. But make sure to write all the details, like the name of the author, the year of the publication, the publisher, the page number, the title of the book. So everything, all the details you write, then the writing the bibliography becomes easy. So keep a record of all these details. So that is a review of the literature. Then you have to give the tentative research design. So of course the objectives of the research study are to be included here. And other things like your area of the research, your title of the research, you can say type of the research, then what type of tool you are going to use for research data collection, what kind of statistical analysis you will do. So all this is part of the research design. And of course you can give a brief significance of the study and the chapterization. So the number of chapters which you are going to include. So this should be included in the synopsis. So keep it as brief as possible. Don't make it very elaborate. This is just to make sure that you actually have an idea of the topic you have chosen. So at this stage, if you find it difficult, you will also get an idea that this topic is too difficult. I'm not getting enough literature, or it is difficult to write the introduction. And at this point, you can easily change it. But once you start with the research project, and at the end of it, you realize that this is not feasible, then it becomes difficult. So please write a synopsis first and submit it to your research guide. Then the third, framing the objectives of research studies. So I want to focus a bit more on framing the objectives, which is part of the research design. So these objectives should be realistic and feasible. Again, then the number of objectives depends on the research topic. So even 3 or 4 objectives are fine. You can have more. The first objective, okay. First, whenever you frame any objectives, they should be realistic and feasible. So I don't want you writing objectives like to bring about a change in the society, to have an impact on the attitude of the respondents, or something very huge which is actually not feasible. So I really appreciate if you have such objectives, if you really want to achieve such objectives through your research project. But it is also very important that you be grounded and have some realistic objectives, because your research project is basically a study. It's a study on some topic, and it is not going to impact the society, because it's not an action research. Most of the research which we conduct here are not action research. So the research having an impact on the society is very minimum, or not very huge. So the basic objective is to study certain aspects of your research topic. So here, of course, many students ask what is the number of objectives we should write, whether we should have 5, 6, 3, 4. So there is no specific number of objectives that you should write. So it is 5 objectives, neither less nor more, no, nothing like that. You can even have only 3 objectives or 4 objectives. That is also fine. Or you can have 5, 6, 7. It depends on your topic and how deep you want to study that. So don't worry too much about the number of objectives. So I would suggest that you keep less number of objectives, so that your research is more focused than writing too many objectives and studying too many things, trying to study too many things in one research project. So the first objective can be or should be a study of the socio-demographic profile of the respondents. So usually the first objective I always say is that you can just say to study the socio-demographic profile of the respondents. So this is your first objective. Irrespective of whatever your research project, you will definitely have a list of respondents, and you need to know the socio-demographic profile. So that is your first objective. Then the other objectives should define your focus of research. So for example, if your research is on statutory welfare measures, then of course the first objective you will say to study the socio-demographic profile of the respondents. The second objective you can say to study the welfare measures existing in the organization. The third objective to study the level of satisfaction among the respondents about the welfare measures in the organization. Then next you can the objective can to suggest measures to improve the level of satisfaction. So these can be your 3 or 4 objectives. So this is related to HR. So if it is something like medical social work, it can be about slow learners, or it can be about alcoholism, or it can be about stress among working women. So if suppose it is alcoholism, you can again say first objective to study the socio-demographic profile of the respondents. Then second, to study the factors leading to addiction of alcohol. Then third, the impact of addiction to alcohol on the respondents. And fourth, to suggest measures to curb the addiction to alcoholism among the respondents. So these are just tentative topics, and I'm just trying to give you an idea on how to frame the objectives. So keep it as simple as possible. Don't try to have very high-fi objectives or research project. All research should be written in very simple language, and you should keep it as simple as possible. So even the objectives, try to keep it simple, straightforward, realistic, feasible. And you should always remember that based on your objectives, you have to write the questions for the your research tool. So, like first object, if the first objective is to study the socio-demographic profile of the respondents, so the first section of your research tool, if it is an interview schedule or a questionnaire, first section will be socio-demographic profile, and in that the list of questions pertaining to socio-demographic profile will be there, like gender, age, occupation, level, education. Then if it is HR, the department which is working, the number of years of service, and so on. So it can be something like marital status, then place of residence, either it is urban or rural, and so many questions. You can include 8 to 10 questions based on socio-demographic factors. So if this, and you come to the like second question, if it is welfare measures, if you say the presence of the provision of to study the provision of welfare measures in the organization, then you can say question second part of the interview schedule is provision of statutory welfare measures. So what are the statutory welfare measures? So provision for sitting, provision for washing, storing and drying clothing, whether the first aid box is provided, whether the ambulance room is provided, whether the canteen is provided, whether creche is provided. So such questions can be framed in the second part, and similarly so on and so forth depending on your objectives. So now framing the objectives of the research study is very important. So please be very clear about this part. So next step that follows is preparation of the tool. So the tool can be an interview schedule or a questionnaire, and also I'm not ruling out that you can go for qualitative data tools of data collection also, but usually we see students opting for quantitative data collection, that is either interview schedule or questionnaire. And the contents should include the following. First is letter of consent. So always have a letter of consent at the top, which says the respondent is willing to participate in this um, uh, participate in giving you this information, and the contents of the letter has been read to him. If he is illiterate, or if he is literate, he has read the contents of the letter and is giving the answers voluntarily. So that is a letter of consent. Then of course the first section, like I told you, is about social demographic profile, and section 2, 3, 4 depending on the questions pertaining to the research topic. So this is also very important. If your tool is framed accurately, precisely, then the data analysis also goes smoothly. So don't focus on adding too many questions. The idea is to have questions which will satisfy the objectives of your study. So the first objective, social demographic profile, will have 8 to 10 questions. The second objective, whatever it is, will have some 8 to 10 or 5 to 6 questions. There is no standard number of questions for each section. So it depends on the topic again. So keep it flexible. So you can have only 5 questions for one section, or 10 questions for one, 15 for another. So it depends on the objective framed. So this is preparation of the tool, that is interview schedule or questionnaire. And here one more thing I want to add is that because of this lockdown, you may not have access to your organization to go and collect the data. So as far as possible, try to make a tool through which you can collect data online. That is, you can make a Google form, and you can go to YouTube and see how to make a Google form. There are so many YouTube videos on how to make a Google form. So please refer one of them and learn how to make a Google form, and you can make that for data collection, which will be more practical in the present condition. Okay. So next is data collection, writing the introduction chapter, writing the review of literature and the bibliography. Now of course, to go very systematically, it would be to first finish writing the introduction chapter, followed by the chapter on review of literature, then the chapter on research methodology, and then go for data collection. If time permits, we can of course follow this pattern. Otherwise, a more practical approach is once the tool is prepared, start with the data collection and simultaneously work on the chapters on introduction and review of literature. It is also wise to write the bibliography at the same time. This is because data collection is dependent on so many factors beyond our control. So it is advisable to start data collection as early as possible. Now, of course, when if I were to say the actual steps, so of course you have to first write the chapter on introduction, then the chapter on review of literature, then research methodology, then prepare your tool, then go for data collection. But see, you have only one semester left now, so I'm just suggesting for your to increase the speed. That is, once your tool is prepared, start with data collection. That is, start mailing the interview tool or sending it through WhatsApp or calling them on phone and reminding, because people take their own time to respond to your respond to you, so to your interview schedule or questionnaire. So once you have mailed them or sent them through WhatsApp, you will have some time left for you. Then you can at that time you can write the chapter on introduction and review of literature and research methodology. So you can save time this way. So that's why you can do all these things simultaneously. And of course, whenever you are writing the review of literature and research review of literature introduction, please write the bibliography also at the same time, bibliography and in-text citations. Otherwise, you will find it very difficult to collect all the information required for writing the bibliography. So yes. Okay, next is writing the bibliography. So the bibliography is best written simultaneously with the chapters on introduction and review of literature. Though bibliography comes at the end of the research project, when of your research project, but it is better to write it simultaneously. So for this, you should follow the APA format. I hope you remember we have already covered APA. What is the APA format in second semester? Even if you don't remember, it is fine. It is one of the formats for referencing, like Chicago Manual, then MLA. So APA is one of the formats, and for all social sciences, APA format is followed. So social workers also follow APA format. For bibliography and in-text citations, bibliography is the references which comes at the end. So you must have seen in so many books, whatever comes at the end, like I'll just show this book. So okay, so whatever comes at the end of the book, so that is the bibliography or references, and whatever is written in the within the book into usually in a bracket, so that is in-text citations. So you have to write both at the time when you're writing introduction chapter and review of literature. Then of course, if remembering the you can of course go to the website of APA and go look for the directions on how to write the citations, or an easier method is to take the help of citation tools such as bibme.com or fme.com or citethisforme.com. So it is a very easy method. You just go to so for example citethisforme.com, then you will have the options referencing styles. So you click on APA format, and then you will have the type of source material. So click on book or website or journal, article. So you click on whatever the type of source you want the citation. Then you just go on next. You can go on clicking, and finally you will get the citation, both in-text citation and the bibliography. In-text citation is what you write along with the chapter, within the chapter, and bibliography citation is at the end. with the heading of references. So both the citations you will get with these tools, bibme.com, refme.com, scitethis4me.com, and there must be so many other tools also. You can just refer them. This is about bibliography. Then next is writing the chapter on research methodology. So this chapter on research methodology may include the title of the research, the area of the study, the objectives of the study, its scope, importance of the study, the universe of the study, sample size, sampling technique, tools of data collection, limitation of the study, ethical issues, chapterization, etc. This is not an exhaustive list. You can change one or two here and there. You can refer some research projects of, and you can make some changes also. Then the next step is encoding of the research tool and tabulation of the data. So encoding of the research tool, that is the response to the questions in the research tool, should be assigned a numerical code to enable tabulation of the data. And once the data collection is over, the data can be tabulated in an Excel sheet, which makes it easier to draw the tables. So encoding of the research tool is very simple. Like for example, if you take the first section of your research tool, that is socio-demographic data. So the first question is gender, male and female. So you assign male number 1, female number 2. So if it is one question. If you say age, so it is always better to give some criteria like up to 18 years 1, 18 to 25 2, 26 to 35 3, and 36 and above 4. So for each and every question, whatever the responses are there, you have to number them. That is encoding of the tool. So I hope it is clear. Then next is tabulation of the data. So once you have this encoding and encoded the tool, then tabulation becomes easier. So I think I'll explain this entire tabulation with the Excel sheet again once you're done with the data collection, but it is nothing very complicated. If you are familiar with the Excel sheet, you have to just write the number of questions on one side, the number of respondents on the other side, and for each question you have to write the encoded number. Question number 1, respondent number 1. If suppose it is marital status and it is male, then you have to write the response as 1. If it is female, you have to write the response as 2. And Excel sheet is just like a maths notebook. It's so many boxes. So for each response you can write each question you can write the response, each question and respondent. So it is very simple, and if somebody has not understood it, I can explain it again at a later stage. So next step is data analysis. So after the tabulation of the data in an Excel sheet, the tables and the graphs can be drawn, and a brief description of the tables and the graphs should be given. So once the tabulation is done in an Excel sheet, of course I have seen many students do it manually, but why I would suggest to do it in an Excel sheet is that once you do it in an Excel sheet, the tables become very easy to draw. So like for if you have question number 1, marital status, and you have 60 respondents, so there will be some who have encoded as 1 and some who have encoded as 2. So next you can just go to the last line and you can just give countif. There is one function called as countif. So you can count the number of 1, that gives the number of male, and for next column, next cell, you can just say countif 2, then you will get the number of female. So with that you can make the tables very easily. But if you do it manually, then again making the tables also it involves a lot of hard work, and also because it is this is one time when you can get familiar with the usage of Excel sheet. So and once you have a table in Excel sheet, the graphs also you can get automatically. You don't have to struggle for the graphs also. If you just click on the table, then you will automatically get the graph also. So it's very simple. So that is data analysis. And for each graph or table, you have to write a brief description of the table. The description just says that the above table describes, for example, the above table describes the marital status of the respondents. So out of the 60 respondents, 20 are male, 40 are female. So that is the brief description of the table. Then next step is summarizing your research, the major findings, suggestions, and the conclusion. So that is the next, writing the next chapter. It is major findings, suggestion, and the conclusion. So major findings is based on your data analysis. So don't just copy everything from data analysis to the major findings. So those findings which you feel are important for your study, so only select some of them and write in the major findings, and don't write the entire paragraph which you have written in the data analysis. Write only one simple sentence. So that is your major findings. And then suggestions, if you have. If you don't have any suggestions, don't write. And a brief conclusion. So this conclusion, so again when you write the conclusion, this conclusion should be based on your research project, on what you have studied. So it shouldn't again look like an introduction. So I have seen many times students write the conclusion and the introduction part are almost the same. So you again write on the secondary data, or what is there in the books or other things you have referred. So that is not conclusion. Conclusion is what you have concluded from your study, from your research project. So even if it is only 2 or 3 sentences, but please be honest with your research project and write the conclusion which you have inferred from your research project. So and don't just copy from some of your seniors research project, or something from the web internet. So write a conclusion which is your own conclusion drawn from your research project. So try to be honest in that. And once this is done, your major research project is completed, then you can write the certificates, the table of contents, the list of tables, graphs, and the appendices, uh, which have to be added at the beginning of your research project. Then some of the general rules which you should remember. So it is the APA format which should be followed throughout. So the font size should be Times New Roman, size 12, and with a line spacing of 1.5. So you can use 14 font size only for headings. And the page numbers, when you are writing the page numbers, in case of certificates, table of contents, list of tables, graphs, you should use the Roman numerals, small Roman numerals, not the capital. And for the page numbers of the chapters, it should be Arabic numeral. Arabic numeral is the normal 1, 2, 3, and the Roman numeral is the small, like I, double 3I. That is the Roman numerals. So that is what should be used. So this is a small gist of how we should write the research project. And when you start with the research project, you will come up with some confusions, some doubts, and they can be clarified at a later stage. But I hope this will give you enough input to start with your research projects. Thank you.